Are you looking to sell more homes this year? Agents always want to know, how can I grow my business, sell more homes, and make more money for myself and my family? Well, before you decide to make such a big change in your life, tune into this video to learn all about different brokerages and how they can fit your needs and your life. Whether you're coming to us from Keller Williams, Coldwell Banker, or Real, just to name a few of the most popular firms that people move to eXp from, you're going to want to know what to expect when you make such a big change. Are you leaving money on the table by not having a transaction coordinator? Whether you're a brand new agent or a seasoned pro, there are so many nuances and little things that go on in every single real estate transaction that can lead you to burnout and missed opportunities. So we're gonna deep dive into why having a transaction coordinator is important for you and your business in 2025. Okay, so section 1, what is a transaction coordinator? They are the most essential person in your contract to close period as an agent, and they're really beneficial for your buyers and for your sellers. They play a critical role in the transaction because they're quite literally coordinating everything in the transaction. And so what happens is once you go under contract, you loop in your transaction coordinator. I always like to introduce them via a closing team email. If you want to see what my closing team email looks like, just drop a comment below and I can give you what the draft or what the template is for our closing team email for every buyer and every seller that we put under contract. That's where we introduce the transaction coordinator, we introduce the closing attorney, the lender, everyone involved in the whole transaction. Now, the role of a transaction coordinator, when they step in then, they are helping manage everything from paperwork to scheduling inspections, to making sure attorney engagement letters are filled out properly, to putting the closing on your calendar, making sure that everything that the attorney needs from the seller is taken into account or that they have all of that information. If you're on the buy side, they're helping schedule the inspection, they're scheduling the appraisal with the lender, they're making sure that everyone who needs to be able to get into the house can get into the house when they need to. They are coordinating everything. They handle all of the paperwork behind the scenes, so it allows agents to be able to be in the forefront and out and about with their clients and in front of their clients. They're handling all of the paperwork, they're handling all of the logistics with people going in and out of the house, literally managing the entire transaction. I think I've said that like 3 or 4 times already, and we're at the beginning of the video. But a transaction coordinator quite literally is helping with every little detail while you're under contract. And it helps make your life easier. And then what it does also is it makes your buyer or your seller have a better experience because of the fact that you have another professional that's helping them out on your behalf. A couple other things that transaction coordinators are going to be responsible for is making sure that everyone's in the loop. If something comes up, or if you get a quote back for something, or you want to negotiate something, or you need to inform a seller or inform a buyer about something that's going on, they can have that communication. They are an extension of your business as a real estate agent, not an expense. If you're sitting at home right now thinking that a transaction coordinator sounds like a great idea, without even having heard the other remaining reasons why it's great, you need to understand that having a transaction coordinator is not an expense. It is an extension of you and your business. I always tell buyers that we're tag teaming and we're able to help and make sure that everything is getting handled, nothing is slipping through the cracks, and we are as quick as we can be with all communication and all updates. You need to make sure that you are thinking of them as an extension of your business and not just an expense. So section 2, now that we've kind of gone over the role of a transaction coordinator, let's talk about the benefits of having a transaction coordinator. If you don't already understand the benefits of having a transaction coordinator after just hearing the role of them, let me tell you how they can benefit your business. They are handling all of the nitty-gritty tasks. As soon as you go under contract, let's say that you forgot to get a signature on something, or maybe a seller didn't initial one page, or maybe an agent forgot to include the mineral oil and gas rights. I mean, I can continue giving examples of what happens literally once you go under contract, not even while you're in the middle of the deal, but once you go under contract, putting all of the documents into SkySlope or whatever compliance tools you use, making sure that everything is buttoned up for compliance. Those are some of the things that a transaction coordinator can do that will help free up your time so that you can be more client facing. The key benefit of a transaction coordinator and a really good transaction coordinator, they will free up your time so that you can spend more time in front of clients or with your family or doing whatever you want to be doing. Maybe it's investing more time in your business. Maybe it's investing time in personal relationships. Doesn't matter what it is. They free up time because they're handling all of those, because they're the ones chasing down the signatures and making sure things get initialed and making sure that documents are in line and making sure that everything is uploaded properly. A great example is we use the Closing Compass, which is owned by Farrah Biggerstaff. They are absolute killers when it comes to transaction coordinating. They are so dialed in when it comes to how to make sure every initial is properly done on every contract, every addendum, every agency agreement, you name it. They know what it looks like to have 100% complete transaction, 100% complete documents, and not being sloppy with that is one of their key pillars. They want to over communicate and they make sure that everything is buttoned up and all of your documents are in line. And with that, it allows you to be able to spend more time with your clients, more time with friends, more time with family, doing whatever you need to do. I personally have loved working with the Closing Compass because they don't miss things. They always make sure that when we are under contract that our documents are buttoned up and that we have initials where we need to have initials. And if an attorney reaches out for something, they are able to handle it because they understand the ins and outs of the transaction. They've got decades of experience in real estate transactions, especially in North and South Carolina. And with that comes expertise and comes experience and knowledge and wisdom and the ability to navigate these transactions. So when I call Farrah or any of the transaction coordinators at the Closing Compass and I say, hey, we need to do a 4T because we're getting more credit for the buyer on this transaction from the seller, we're getting $2,000 more. Well, they know to make sure that not only are we putting together the document to get them $2,000 more, but they're also referencing the original contract to make sure that if there was $1,000 in credit already in the contract, they aren't going from $0 to $2,000 on our agreement to amend the contract. They're going from $1,000 to $3,000 because just a simple mistake like that will cost me $1,000. Because remember earlier I said they're an extension of my business? Well, for the good and the bad, transaction coordinators are an extension of your business. And so if they miss things, which the Closing Compass doesn't, which is why we love working with them, but if they miss things, that's on you. Sure, you can have the conversation with them behind the scenes, but all the client cares is that you and your team missed it. So you have to make sure that you are buttoned up and you have to make sure that your transaction coordinator, which look, I'm biased, but I think you should use the Closing Compass if you're in the Carolinas, especially if you're at EXP. They are so good and they make sure that everything is in line with compliance. That way you don't have to worry about anything. And that's where having a transaction coordinator can be a huge benefit to your business. Because then when you're driving around or you're in meetings or you're sitting in front of a camera filming and not able to handle paperwork, which I can't handle paperwork right now while we're doing this. They are working behind the scenes to make sure that things are still moving forward in all of our transactions, and that is invaluable. This video is going to go into a lot of the little things that I knew nothing about before I moved to EXP 3 years ago, and you likely wouldn't know either. We're going to give you insights as to what to expect, what to look out for, and how to make sure that if you choose to change brokerages, you are doing it in the best way for you. Whether it's today, tomorrow, next year, or 10 years from now. We're here to help make sure that you're making the right decision for you, your business, and your family. Now, before we continue, I'd like to give you a warm welcome to the Andy G channel. You're here with one of the top 10 real estate agents out of over 20,000 realtors in Charlotte, North Carolina, who's also affiliated with the #1 production group at eXp Realty. So section number 3 is all about financial impact and the cost associated with having a transaction coordinator. Now, I'll start by saying some of them are cheaper and some of them are more expensive. And the more things that you get with a transaction coordinator, typically, the more expensive it's going to be. The more experience the transaction coordinator has and the better they are, the more expensive it might be. But again, you're paying for convenience. And I never like to think of it as an expense, but rather an investment in my business and an investment in the experience that my client is getting during the transaction. So look, if you're getting a small commission or if you're getting a large commission, their fee is always going to be what the fee is. and it doesn't usually change based on the size of the deal. And at the end of the day, when you're investing that money into your business and into the experience for your client, it provides such a better overall experience, not for the client, but also for you, that you can focus on other things to grow your business, which kind of leads me into the second half of this financial impact piece. It allows you to be able to scale your business. They take on more transactions, you can take on more transactions without sacrificing the quality of service that your clients are getting. And when that happens, you're able to scale, you're able to build. Sure, you could go double your business next year because of that, or you could triple it, or maybe even you can do 5 more deals next year compared to this year because you had a transaction coordinator. I can tell you from personal experience that working with the Closing Compass and having them by my side for all of these transactions has helped us scale. It's helped us be able to build our business even in down years in real estate. It's been a huge factor in growing the business. It also can help you grow and scale not only the number of deals you're doing every year, but maybe you're a solo agent and you're wanting to become a team leader. This allows you to be able to focus on other things so you're not in the nitty-gritty dealing with every little detail of every deal, because then you'll never be able to lead a team when you're bogged down working on paperwork while you're under contract. So you can see there are a lot of benefits to having this transaction coordinator, especially from the financial side. Section 4 is improving the client experience. Obviously, it's important to think about the financial impact. It's important to think of the return on investment. But I'll tell you, when it comes to return on investment, thinking about the client experience is probably the biggest piece of the return on investment with having a transaction coordinator. They help improve the communication so that and remember, we've talked about this, you want to find someone who matches your communication style and the level of communication that you have. Because if they're not communicating, that looks bad on you. If they're great at communicating, it looks great on you as an agent. So having the increased level of communication with clients is critical. That ultimately will make their experience or the client's experience way, way better. And they will not forget that. And when they think that you have a whole team that's backing you and that's able to support everything that you're doing, it goes a very long way. So it not only increases the client experience, but it will also elevate your brand, because branding is important nowadays. It's important to put out a good image and brand to the public and to all your clients. You want them to feel like they're getting white glove service, and that's how having a transaction coordinator can plug right in to that type of feeling. That white glove, elevated concierge experience is really important nowadays. There's so much competition. Shoot, in Charlotte alone, there's over 20,000 real estate agents. So wouldn't you think that a buyer or a seller who has a great experience with me and my transaction coordinator is going to want to tell their friends? And that's how we can start growing our business in this ultra competitive market. It's one of the biggest pieces that I feel like no one talks about. So the transaction coordinator, if you're an agent, it really does make a big difference. And it also can help, like I've said this 1,000 times in this video, I feel like, they're an extension of you and they're an extension of your brand. And if they are good, they're going to make you look really good. My name is Andy Griesinger. My team and I get calls, texts, and DMs from people like you every day who are looking to make a change in their business and in their lives. So if this does sound like you and you want to make a move, whether it's today, tomorrow, next week, or years from now, we are here to help. And before you decide to make that move, send us a DM, shoot me a text, or give us a quick call, no strings attached, so that we can build a custom plan for you and your business. That way, we can help you grow your business, sell more homes, and make whatever your goals are or dreams come to reality. By the way, our contact information is in the description below, so be sure to write that down. That way you have everything you need in order to reach out so we can talk, no strings attached, about what eXp has to offer and how it could really mesh with your business. So our fifth and final section today is about finding the right transaction coordinator and how to do that. Look, I'll start by saying if you're in the Carolinas, and especially if you're with eXp Realty, the Closing Compass is where you need to look. But if you're not so lucky to be around here to be able to use them, or maybe you're with a different company and you want to use them, we should chat. However, no matter what, you need to make sure you find a transaction coordinator that aligns with your vision and with your work style. Not necessarily just work ethic, but your work style. And so you want to interview a lot of transaction coordinators. Some will have different fee structures, some will have different pricing, some will negotiate for you, some won't. Some only work 9 to 5, some will work 24/7, some will work on weekends. Some of them will go to showings for you or go to an inspection for you, some won't. So you need to figure all these things out, like write a list. What is important to you? What are the things that you want to make sure your transaction coordinator does? And what are the things that you don't care if they do or don't do? That will help you better filter out the transaction coordinators that may not be good for you and your business. But you want to find someone who matches your work style and work ethic. You also want to make sure that they have great communication, because they are, we've talked about this, they are an extension of you and your business. So if you're a high communicator and they're not, your client is going to think you are a bad communicator. If they're a great communicator and you're not, your client's going to think you're a great communicator. And so that will actually help you in your business tremendously. So think about what is important to you when you're hiring a transaction coordinator, because the right one will change your life for the better. Now, when you are looking for one, they don't always have to be within your brokerage. They could be independent of your brokerage. Some of them work specifically for the company. Some of them are virtual assistants that can do this. And then some of them have their own transaction coordinating company, similar to the Closing Compass. And that's where someone like Farah and her team can be great, because they can work with anyone. They don't have to be working specifically with EXP agents. They prefer to. It will make your life much easier if you are at EXP working with them. At the end of the day, you just have to find one that you like working with, and you need to make sure they understand how to work in your systems. Whether you use Asana or Trello or Follow Up Boss or Monday.com or Skyslip or Dotloop or DigiSign or any of these different software platforms, you need to make sure that they understand how to use that seamlessly. Because it's one thing to teach a transaction coordinator how you like to do business and how you like to go through your workflow when you're under contract. It's another to also have to teach them how to handle a transaction, what due diligence is, what earnest money is, what due diligence expiration means, and how that impacts the deal, and how you need to negotiate or talk to a seller and talk to a buyer based on the different nuances of timing and different pieces of the transaction. So having someone who is experienced is super important. Now, the more experience they have, the more expensive they may be, but you need to decide, do you want to take more time to train them up and have them build their experience with you? Or would you rather pay a little more and have someone who's more experienced that is able to plug right in with you in your business and be able to help you and your clients out even quicker? So there's a lot of things that you need to think about, but ultimately having someone that matches your work ethic and work style, who also understands the platforms and the software that you like to use, is critical. And for me personally, I loved the idea of a transaction coordinator that had been in the real estate industry for a while, because they understand the nuances of transactions. They understand how emotional this process is for buyers and sellers, and they can work with me hand in hand with our clients. And that's what the Closing Compass is able to do. Does it seem like a great place to call home? Good. Because one of the reasons why we're the #1 real estate company in the world is because when people reach out to us that are thinking about changing brokerages, we can put a full business plan together that will match your motivations and will be as effective and as efficient as possible for you and your business. That way you can see for yourself if this is the right place for you. And look, I'm biased, but I think it will be. Using a transaction coordinator isn't just about making your life easier. It's also about working smarter and being able to deliver exceptional service. And I'll tell you what, as we start to wrap this video up, all I can think about is that I would love to hear how this tip impacted your life and your business. So if you're watching this and or maybe you rewatch it, or you watch this and then you decide to implement a transaction coordinator, or if you're smart, hiring the Closing Compass, I would love for you to drop a comment and tell us how this impacted your life and your business. So if you're ready to explore everything EXP has to offer, be sure to check out some of our other videos and drop a comment below regarding any questions you may have about this list, and especially if you want to get in touch with the Closing Compass, because they will make a huge impact in your business and in your life. Now, I'll leave you with this. This is the #1 company in the world for a reason. And if you have any reason to think that it might be intriguing or interesting to you, or you just are curious, be sure to reach out. Don't be scared. We will talk, like I've said 1,000 times, no strings attached, to see if this is the right fit for you. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. but I hope to hear from you soon.